Hey guys, Toneser back with another Ace Tanker replay. This time we're watching Flea in 1951 in his T57 Heavy. And while we're waiting for him to get into position, he's on Malinovka, gonna go hill, and he is top tier. Let's change this so you can see the tank list. There we go. I apologize for not putting much content out. I've been really busy at work. I don't know if you know this, but I own a small construction company, and we had a ton of snow this last couple of weeks, and so a lot of failures in buildings. So we've been working on repairing those buildings and getting pricing out to people and talking to the insurance companies and whatnot. So that's kind of been why I've been absent. I have been off and on a little bit on World of Tanks, but for short periods of time. So I don't really have any of my own footage to put up. So thank you, Flea, for sending this in. Flea is one of our subscribers, so look forward to seeing how he does in this game and how he plays his T57. One of the things about the T57 is it's very derpy, okay? The gun handling, and you'll see it, is very derpy. It does have, I think, 258 pen on its standard rounds, but they are often called heat 57s because loading heat in them gives you 340 pen, and it overcomes some of the gun handling issues that you've got. So he is going to the hill. That's a good call. And he's versus T110E5 is his opposite number, and he should be able to bully that tank and maybe trade really well against it. So for whatever reason, a tier 9 Bat Chat decides he's going to come up the hill, and let's make this mini map bigger. So this is about the size I like my mini map, because I feel like the mini map being bigger, I can read stuff going on better. And it looks like he pulls up here and he hasn't seen anything yet. That's kind of curious. So there's a M103, and there's a T10. Wow. But he tracks him. That was a nice tracking shot. And so even though he loses a little health, he trades 3 for 1. So that's really, really good trade there. And then his Artie is able to take shots on that T10 and give him another 400 assist. So there are 2 Arties, and looks like the M103 took a snapshot, and it looks like Flea knows his weak spots because he is shooting at the cupola. So he hits 2 for 4 there, puts him up to 1900 damage, and we're back on a reload. Now this tank has, I think, the highest DPM. I know it's the highest DPM of any autoloader, but I want to say it's the highest DPM of any tier 10 heavy. So looks like the M103 is content to shoot at other people, and the M103's turret is not too good side on. So we're going to aim this last shot in, and we miss. So this is very typical of the T57, where you hit 1 or 2 shots. The ideal spot for a T57 is a city map, believe it or not, and just waiting for the enemy to commit, tracking them, and then putting damage into them. So there's another shot of damage, blind shot. And he's moving up, which he has more guts than I do. He's aiming for lower plate there, and we'll see if he can get it. The lower plate of the M103 is actually pretty tough. It's not quite as tough as the E5, but it is kind of a pixel shot with standard rounds. So he's loading his first heat clip because that's all he's got left. And probably get in trouble by somebody for calling it a clip, but nevertheless. So you notice the derpiness on this thing, and but he is able to take the guy out. It's now 7-3, And that T110E5 did his team a disservice. He never went hill. So I'm not sure why. So if the armor on this is somewhat suspect in a tier 8 game, it can actually work pretty well. But if you just shoot the turret cheeks, let's pause here and show you. So these cheeks here are really easy to pin. So if you're face on with a T57 heavy, you hit it anywhere in this cheek, you're going to pin. You don't want to hit it up in here. And it does have some weird auto bounce angles, but in general, and also if you have side turret, this whole back portion, and I think you can even pin this whole side, but I aim for the back portion because there is the ammo rack back in there. And also if you get tracked, you can get tracked and ammo rack damaged at the same time. So it's in tier 10 games, it's somewhat fragile, but it's so dangerous. It really is. It's a really dangerous tank. So he's waiting for his Progetto 46 to maybe light stuff up, which I don't blame him. And there's the Arty. He auto-aims the Arty, and oh yeah, 4005. That's the perfect target. So wow, that puts him up to 3,700 damage. And remember, we've got at least one blind shot, right? And he's now pushing, and the game's over, so I'm guessing he wants to get the maximum damage possible and assist possible. So he's got a fair amount of health, so I can see why he'd push in here. So where is that pesky low at? That's what I'm wondering. The T30 and the E5 obviously are elsewhere. So the problem with the low in this situation is that he's got heat loaded. He can pin that guy all day long. But he decides to aim for the T30 instead. And he is able to take out the T30. So I might have reloaded here, just because it's like a 25-second reload, and you'd have a full magazine. Oh, and there's a couple of snipers back here. He's up to 4,700 damage. You can see how quick the damage stacks up on this, though. When you're able to reclip. And now it's just the T110E5. So he's able to bounce a shot. My guess is the T110E5 is not the best player if he's sitting in spawn. And he just fired, so I think Flea is going to move forward a little bit. And that's good bush mechanics, but he does get spotted, but wow. Another 700 damage on that E5, so that's a great game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the after action report on this one. Okay, here we are at the after action report. As you see, he got an ace tanker. He also got a Spartan for bouncing a shot when he was on low hit points, a steel wall, and a high caliber. So great game. Looks like he did 1,217 base experience, 5,800 damage, 5 kills, and the next guy on his team had 785 experience, which was the Arty. So that was a pretty good carry, quite honestly. He lost some credits, as you do in the Heat 57, and on most tier 10s, quite honestly. 29 shots, 22 hits, 17 pins. That's kind of average on a big map for this thing. It is such a derpy tank. 2,500 block by armor, so that's actually great. And it can happen in tier 8 games. Due to his assistance is another 2,800, so math on the fly, what's that? 8,700 combined. So all in all, great game, Flea. 1,826 total experience. Good job, and we will have to catch you on the next one, guys.